The drama won't go away. Hailey Bieber's interview didn't just make news, it also brought back a rivalry that everyone on the internet is watching. Road and Rare's brand feud has turned into a personal fight, and Justin Bieber's silence is making it even louder. He isn't writing, he isn't standing up for himself, and he isn't next to Hailey. Instead, he's watching from afar, calm and unbothered, while fans put the pieces together for him. Because Justin's silence might be the clearest message yet in a storm of ego and attention. He isn't saying which side he's on in public, but everyone knows. Everyone already knows what that interview did. Hailey Bieber talked about Road, but as soon as those clips came out, the internet went crazy. I didn't even have to watch it again. You could see the tension on her face. It didn't sound like she was sure of herself when she said she wanted to be original and not copy anyone. But she's not taking chances. She has enough emotional dust. Once she says she wants to be original and not copy anyone, it sounded like she was trying to draw a line that everyone knew would lead them straight to Selena Gomez. Within minutes, my feed was a mess. Changes, comparisons, and side-by-sides of Roads and Rare Beauty are all over the place. Even the colors, the packaging, and the captions seemed old. Hailey smiled through it, but you could tell she was defensive with every word. One fan said, "She always says she's not copying Selena, but every time she does, she proves the opposite." That comment summed up what everyone else said online. People are sick of coincidences that don't seem like they were planned. Hailey's branding might be good, but her timing is never good. Someone else told her to stop talking and let her work speak for itself because every interview is just damage control. And to be honest, they're right. The more she talks, the more it sounds like an apology that no one asked for. No one was talking about the products anymore. They were talking about the power. That same quiet tension that always comes back when these two names are in the news together. Hailey can't forget who she's up against, no matter how many times she tries to move on. I kept hitting refresh on his page, hoping for something. A post, a story, and a little "I'm so proud of you." But there was nothing. Just quiet. Hailey's interview took over my feed, but Justin's page stayed still and calm. Basketball videos, quiet times with friends, and no sign of her anywhere. It seemed like he was making a conscious choice to separate himself from the noise. The internet saw it too. I've seen him stand up for her before, sometimes too quickly, but this time was different. He didn't say anything, and the longer I watched, the more it seemed like he meant to be quiet. No shade, no response, just space. And to be honest, that calm felt louder than any defense he could have posted. Sometimes not saying anything at all tells you exactly where someone stands. One fan said, "It's crazy how calm he looks when she's not there. That says it all." And to be honest, it did. That one sentence made him feel like the internet was reading between the lines. Another person said, "He's not ignoring her. He's getting away from her." It sounded harsh, but it said what a lot of people were already thinking. "This silence isn't random, it's rebellion," said a third fan. And that one seemed to be the most true. The way Justin has been moving lately doesn't seem random. There are no quotes or mysterious captions from him. He lives in a way that speaks louder than any words could. I first saw it in his pictures. There were no matching outfits, no road promotions, and no forced smiles. It was just him, the court, and that calm look that used to come over him when he was happiest. It seems like he's protecting his own peace instead of someone else's. He's back on his skates, hanging out with old friends, and showing a side of himself that feels more like before all the noise started. It seems like every move he makes is on purpose, like he's setting limits without saying anything. I can't lie, this time it feels different. The silence doesn't look cold, it appears to be free, and maybe for the first time he's putting peace ahead of performance. A fan said he finally looks like himself again, just Justin, no filters or PR smiles. And that comment hurt more than I thought it would because it's true, for once. His calm seems real, not rehearsed. Another person wrote, "This isn't distance, it's healing." And I agree with you 100%. We've seen him survive the noise for years, but now it looks like he's finally learning how to live without it. The internet changed almost overnight. It started out as brand talk, but then it turned into open criticism, and I could feel the change as I scrolled. No one was standing up for Hailey anymore. They were taking her apart. They played back every clip and soundbite from that interview like it was proof. The compassion that once shielded her had dissipated, supplanted by a pervasive sense of fatigue. I saw creators call out the pattern, the timing, the tone, and the quiet digs that always seem personal. Even influencers who used to support Rhode started to stay away because they were afraid of getting caught up in the chaos. It wasn't just anger, it was tiredness. People in the audience had seen this story too many times. I remember how quickly admiration can turn into annoyance online. One week it's help, the next week it's criticism. This time, no amount of carefully chosen posts could fix the damage because the internet wasn't just watching Hailey anymore, it was judging her. People started to look back at old interviews and find parts where her words were similar to Selena's. Suddenly, old clips, reused marketing ideas, and comparisons that no PR team could stop flooded timelines. The comments got meaner and less about the products and more about the people. It wasn't hate just to make things more exciting. It was disappointment that looked like honesty. What used to be light gossip started to sound like a group decision. People were sick of the copying, the defensiveness, and the carefully planned story of the victim. It was no longer a matter of choosing between two women. It was about finding out who had changed and who was still haunted by the past. And as the criticism grew, the lack of response from her own side only made things worse. The story starts to write itself when everyone is talking and you're not there. Things around Hailey and Justin started to look strange by the time the noise online reached its peak. There were no joint appearances, no interviews, and no sign of the united front they usually put on when things go wrong. It seemed like the distance we saw online was starting to show up in real life. I saw how different their worlds suddenly seemed. Hailey was in full brand mode, organizing events, pushing Rhode products, and smiling for cameras that didn't smile back. Justin, on the other hand, looked like he was done. People saw him at basketball games and out to dinner with friends, living like a man who had quietly left the chaos behind. They weren't fighting in public, but the silence between them spoke louder than any fight could. People on the inside started to talk about their different priorities. Hailey was worried about how she looked, and Justin was worried about keeping the peace. You could really see it in every picture. Two people live together, but they don't have the same rhythm. It was like they were living next to each other, not with each other. I couldn't help but wonder if the stress finally broke something that was already weak. Because when one half of a relationship wants to be in charge and the other half wants to be calm, they stop going in the same direction. The fairy tale front they used to sell started to fall apart. Not in a big way, but like glass under pressure. Everything still looked great from the outside. You could feel it, though, if you paid attention. The distance, the feeling of being alone, and the growing sense that the person next to you might not be with you anymore. It wasn't a mess, there was no scandal. It was something cooler. Peace that looks like indifference. When you listen closely, silence can sound like loyalty. Justin hasn't said anything, but the way he's been moving seems planned, like a man who is okay with his choices, even if no one else is. I saw it in the little things, the way his post stopped being the center of attention, the way his smile looked real again. He doesn't want to fix anyone's image right away anymore, not trying to show how perfect his marriage is. It seems like he finally understood that peace doesn't need proof. It has a poetic quality to it. He seems to have the same calm that Selena used to have, the calm, the self-control, and the refusal to feed chaos. It could just be a coincidence. Or maybe he learned from the one person who ever taught him what real peace looks like. Hailey is still fighting her battles online, but Justin isn't getting involved. He is watching from a distance. And that distance says a lot. It's not going against the rules, it's in line with stillness, growth, and quiet. Loyalty doesn't always mean standing next to someone who's loud. It means standing up for what you believe in, even if it doesn't say anything. And Justin's silence doesn't feel like withdrawal anymore, it seems like a choice. So maybe Justin didn't need to post a quote or pick a side because his silence said it all. Hailey is still fighting, Selena is still winning by being peaceful, and Justin is finally learning what it means to get away from noise that never stops. It's not revenge. It's understanding. And that silence is starting to sound like freedom. Let me know what you think if you've read this far. Did Justin finally pick peace over doing well? Leave your thoughts below.